How do we know that it's actually a hole? And what is this thing anyway? It seems to me that there are a lot of misconceptions about black holes. What is a black hole? Is there such a thing as a wormhole or a white hole? And if not, why can't we see inside a black hole? Is there such a thing as a gray hole? Can we travel through a wormhole? If so, where would we come out? In this episode, I will try to answer these questions. To make things simple, I will use analogies and thought experiments. So let's start with the question: how do we know that it's actually a hole? The only observations that we have for black holes are based on their gravitational influence on other objects. This is why we call them dark, because we cannot see anything behind the black hole, not even light. It is also why we don't really know what's inside a black hole. If you were to ask me what my first thought is when I hear the word hole, I would say a cavity, a void, an empty space inside of something. But this is probably not the case for black holes. A black hole is a region of space from within which nothing can escape. Its boundary is called the event horizon. Anything that crosses the event horizon cannot get out, not even light. And once something crosses the event horizon, we can no longer observe it. You may have heard that nothing can escape from a black hole. That sounds as if there's something inside a black hole that's doing the trapping. For example, maybe a very sticky substance that grabs onto things and prevents them from leaving. But that's not what happens. The reason why nothing can escape from a black hole is that the gravitational pull gets stronger the closer you get to the black hole. So if you want to escape, you need to get away from the black hole with enough speed. But the closer you get to the black hole, the harder it is to get away with sufficient speed. At the event horizon, it is impossible to get away. You could try to leave with the speed of light, but then you would need to have infinite energy. What happens inside of a black hole, we don't know. The laws of physics break down inside of a black hole. Here is a way to visualize what goes on inside of a black hole. Imagine a rubber duck floating on the surface of a pool. The duck has a life buoy attached to its leg, and the life buoy has a rope attached to it. Now, imagine that someone comes along and pulls the life buoy under the water. The duck starts to sink. But just before the life buoy disappears under the water, you notice that the rope starts to shrink. As the life buoy disappears, the rope becomes shorter and shorter until it vanishes altogether. Where did the rope go? It didn't go anywhere. The rope is now part of the life buoy. It just became part of a different physical system. That's what happens inside a black hole. Everything that falls into a black hole ceases to exist. It's not that it goes somewhere else. It just ceases to be. In summary, a black hole is a region of space with a boundary called the event horizon. Once something crosses the event horizon, it cannot get out. And once something crosses the event horizon, we can no longer observe it. We don't know what's inside a black hole because the laws of physics break down inside a black hole. Now let's move on to the question: is there such a thing as a wormhole? A wormhole is a hypothetical type of black hole that has two event horizons. Some people think that wormholes are the key to time travel, but they're not. Wormholes are just another way of describing black holes. The only difference between a wormhole and a black hole is that a wormhole has two event horizons instead of one. A wormhole can be used to travel to the past or to the future, but it's not possible to travel through a wormhole without violating the laws of physics. This is why we don't have any observational evidence for wormholes. Now let's move on to the question, is there such a thing as a white hole? A white hole is a hypothetical type of black hole that has two event horizons. The difference between a black hole and a white hole is that a white hole ejects matter instead of pulling it in. However, there is no known physical process that could create a white hole. This is why I don't take the existence of white holes seriously. Now let's move on to the question, is there such a thing as a gray hole? A gray hole is a hypothetical type of black hole that has two event horizons. The difference between a black hole and a gray hole is that a gray hole can both pull in and eject matter. This might sound like a contradiction, but it's not. A gray hole can pull in matter at one end and eject it at the other. Gray holes are similar to wormholes, but they are not the same thing. A wormhole is a type of black hole that has two event horizons, whereas a gray hole has only one event horizon. Is it possible to travel through a wormhole? Yes, but not in the way that you might think. To travel through a wormhole, you would need to cross the event horizon. Once you cross the event horizon, you can't get back out. Therefore, you can't travel through a wormhole without giving up all hope of ever returning home. This is why wormholes are sometimes referred to as one-way portals. If you were to travel through a wormhole, where would you come out? You would come out on the other side of the wormhole. The other side of a wormhole is just another black hole. So if you were to travel through a wormhole, you would eventually be destroyed by the black hole. I believe that wormholes are real, but they're not the kind that we usually think of. Instead of being portals to other universes, I think they're better described as bridges between different parts of our own universe. It's like taking a road trip. You start at one place and end up at another. But the journey takes you through many different landscapes. In the same way, traveling through a wormhole takes you from one part of our universe to another, but the journey takes you through many different universes. Some people think that this is crazy, but I don't think it's any crazier than the idea that wormholes are portals to other universes. There is no observational evidence for either idea, so we can't really say which one is more likely. But I think it's important to keep an open mind about these things. After all, we don't really understand how the universe works. So we shouldn't be so quick to dismiss any ideas as being too crazy. So what is a black hole anyway? A black hole is a region of space with a boundary called the event horizon. Once something crosses the event horizon, it cannot get out. And once something crosses the event horizon, we can no longer observe it. This was a very brief introduction to the topic of black holes. If you want to learn more about black holes, I suggest you read a book called Black Holes and Time Warps by Kip Thorne. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe. And remember, never stop questioning.